Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Twinkle. You're probably here through Instagram and you're probably a new follower. So I decided to do a get ready with me because recently my Instagram kind of took off. So many new people that follow me and actually don't know anything about me, and I thought this would be a fun video to do. I'm also going to be doing my makeup while I answer some questions, and it's going to be a fun, super engaging video, hopefully. So let's begin. So starting off with a moisturizer, I'm going to be using the MAC Hyper Real Skin Canvas Balm. Another moisturizer that I also use is the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream. These two are thick. This is a lot thicker, and when you use a thick moisturizer, your makeup just sits a lot better as well. So I think for today, I'll probably go with the Charlotte Tilbury and not the MAC one. So first things first, my name is Twinkle. I'm 25 years old. I live here in Dubai. I was born and brought up here. I now live alone. I moved out of my parents' home, I guess, last year around September. And ever since then, I've been living alone. Contrary to what a lot of people on my Instagram believe because of the reel I posted about splitting bills, I'm actually a completely financially independent person. I take care of myself. I also have worked super hard to kind of reach a stage where I can live alone and I can take care of my finances and all of that stuff. I have two older sisters. My older sister is an engineer and now a supply chain manager, and my second sister is a doctor. The three of us were born and brought up and raised to be very take care of yourself, studious, work. It's always been like that. So none of us in our lives now are slacking. We're all very hardworking, and that's how I was always raised. So even when it comes to, I would say, relationships and stuff, I have never really seen within my family and also in close relationships, I've not really seen a very healthy dynamic of a great man and a great woman. Of course, my mom and dad are there, but apart from that, I've not really seen it in my life. And I think that's in a way affected even what I expect from a relationship, because I didn't have anyone to look up to that way. So even what I would accept in relationships I thought it was very normal, when it of course is not. Relationships have completely paved the way for who I am now, and I don't really necessarily mean this in a way of I've met such great men who've helped me. No, I've met really horrible guys in the past, and in that process I've learned to be a lot more self-reliant. I've also learned to completely focus on my work and my life. I kind of owe that to my romantic relationships, which is why I love talking about it. So for my foundation, lately I've been using the Isadora Full Coverage Foundation Concealer in the shade 72. This is full coverage, so I take honestly very little. Literally, these are my main spots. I don't think guys are the most reliable people, so it's always good to have your career in place before you commit to a guy. Some women get really lucky where they don't have to do that. They meet great men and they just know that they're going to take care of them. I personally would never, even if I meet an amazing person, I would never ever in my life be comfortable with fully relying on him. Now, speaking of my job and what I do for a living, I work in one of the top media companies here in Dubai. I work in publishing. So I take care of content for two magazines. These are beauty and fashion magazines in the Middle East. And I take care of the Middle East franchise, where I'm responsible for the growth of certain video platforms like TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram in some cases. I produce and oversee all video content. So I am also a professional video editor. So I look at everything from pre-production to production to post-production, even publishing of those and keeping a track of analytics, numbers, what video is doing well, what's our strategy. So that's what I do. I've tried a lot of other jobs before as well, but nothing has fulfilled me the way my current job does. And as a part of my work, I get to network and meet so many incredible women that have made it to the top of their career. I get to interview celebrities, influencers. So a lot of people that are in the glamorous industry that we all look up to. Okay, my foundation is kind of done. You can see how a little bit went a very long way. For my concealer, I'm going to be using Ciela Beauty. I wouldn't say it's the best in the market, but it works for everyday use. For my concealer, I honestly don't really like going too light just because it leaves that grayish sort of a mark. So I'm not a huge fan of that. So yes, I actually really love my job. I meet so many incredible people. I meet PRs, I meet marketing heads, I meet creative producers, photographers, videographers, creatives, fashion editors who work in some of the top companies. Now, apart from my job, I also do want to build on my social media as well. I eventually want to make a good amount of money through my social media as well. And a big reason of that is simply the fact that I actually just love my job. And I don't like the way corporate companies have this whole, you wait for 2 years and then you get a raise, and sometimes the raise is not that great. And I'm not specifically referring to my company, I'm just referring to companies in Dubai. So I don't want to depend on my corporate job to give me that lavish lifestyle. I know that the minute I start expecting my corporate job to fund the lifestyle that I want in my life, life, I'm gonna start hating the job, and I don't want to do that. I want to be here. I want to be here in Dubai. I want to live a great life. Now, when it comes to my social media, I really just like talking and connecting to so many people, and sometimes it comes across really personal, and not a lot of people like it, but also a lot of people do love it. That is a disgusting coffee. What I've realized about having a social media presence is that you get to introduce yourself without introducing yourself. You know, whenever I go for events as a part of my job, I used to struggle a lot socializing with people and introducing myself and going up to them and saying, hey, my name is Twinkle. I just get kind of anxious and I hide and I get very embarrassed. So by simply following PRs, by simply following marketing managers and coming up in their feed, I'm already putting myself out there. So that's kind of why I use my social media. It's not simply just to have followers. I use it also as a way to fuel my growth even in my career. I don't know if it'll backfire because I talk a lot about very sensitive topics. I talk about exes, I talk about boyfriends, I talk about relationships, money. Like, I'm really personal there, which is something that in media industry and in the fashion industry, people, I don't think, appreciate that much because it's such a glam industry. So you always have to, in a way, be very put together. You got your shit and you live a certain lifestyle, and I just don't want that. Like, I'm not trying to be different and like, I don't care about the industry, not like that. Of course, when you work in such a glam industry, you do have to hold yourself up to certain standards, but for me, I also want to be authentic. I want to be myself, and I want to talk about life problems and real stuff and relationships, because you notice this in everyone's life. No matter how successful a woman is, she still has boy problems, and that's fine. So yeah, I don't know if that made sense at all. One of my favorite eyeshadow palettes that I use is the Huda Beauty one. If you're a brown girl, you need these colors. It really helps you get a very natural eyeshadow look. Recently, I kind of blew up on Instagram in a way. I posted a couple of reels talking about my brown girl story times, and I also did a reel on why men should pay on first dates and splitting bills. And I got so much backlash on it that I was like, what the fuck is going on? Of course, there were so many women that spoke up and said, you know what, I relate to you. I understand where you're coming from. But also the number of guys that started calling me names, I was really shocked. Hold on, before we continue. For blush, I think I'm going to be using the Charlotte Tilbury blush. This is quite pigmented, so I'm just going to take very, very little first. You know what? This is another trick that I use. I sometimes use a Makeup Forever foundation, which is a bit lighter than my skin tone, as my concealer. So I'm going to quickly fix my face. I also use a concealer to brighten the hyperpigmentation around my mouth. So whenever you notice your skin looking grey, it's because your foundation is much, much lighter than your skin tone. So just be aware of that. So yeah, speaking of my social media again. So when those videos blew up, it got a lot of backlash from certain guys. The video was so simple. I was simply talking about the fact that a lot of us independent women struggle with letting a guy pay on a first date, and we don't have to be, simply because it is a sign of respect. And that was all the video was. And a lot of the comments that I got were from these fake accounts or 21-year-old boys who don't really know how to date or who don't really know how to take a woman out and give her a good experience, teaching me what feminism is and talking about equality and how gender pay was debunked by, I don't even know who, Joe Dispenza. And after a point, I had gotten sick and tired of fighting with these guys and saying, you guys don't know what you're talking about. You're too young. When you grow up, you will genuinely realize that these are the standards to which you have to treat a woman. We are not talking about paying for their lavish lifestyle for the rest of their lives. I'm a strong believer that women have to also contribute to household chores as well as financially, especially if both of you come from similar backgrounds. You do have to do that. Nobody denied that. I was simply referring to the fact that men have to have the decency to cover a bill that they've taken a woman out on, and that's it. There were guys calling me ugly, telling me that I should not be the one giving advice considering I'm simply a content creator, when content creation and social media is just my side job. So yeah, I do get a good amount of hate, but then on the other hand, I also get a lot of great messages from girls who tell me that I make them feel seen and I make them feel heard, and I've inspired them to leave toxic situationships and relationships. It's when I hear stuff like this, I'm just like, you know what? I actually don't care if a 22-year-old college boy gets offended when I tell him, you're not a real guy if you can't even take a woman out. And before someone comes and says, what about equality? Please, you're not contributing to equality here simply because you're splitting a bill. So many guys have, of course, never contributed to feminism in any way at all, and then they somehow want to bear the fruits of it. From the time we're in school, our parents keep telling us, you have to get a good job because you cannot rely on a man. So a lot of us women are born and raised with this idea that we can never rely on a guy, which is why women work so fucking hard and we prove ourselves so much. Okay, now for my eyeshadow, I kind of want to try maybe like a small, simple, smoky eye as well. So I'm going to be using this Huda Beauty Empowered palette, and I'm going to use the shade Confident, and I'm going to blend it out with get it. So even when like women comment on my videos and they say, pay for yourself, and then they make fun of me for not making enough money and relying on these guys, I'm just like, you don't know what you're talking about. I have never in my life relied on a man, and I never will. I also got a comment which said something like, bro, look at her, she's so mid even with all of that makeup. And it comes from a guy who uses a fake profile because he simply cannot share his opinions on his real profile. I'm here expressing my opinions with my face on video, talking about it, and I can respond to it because I'm confident in what I believe. But the fact that you have to make a fake profile to teach me what feminism is, no, like, you're not who I want to talk to. Move away from my page. And what then frustrates me is after I get really sick of responding to these comments, I just delete that thread because they get so annoying, and then they send me paragraphs about why I'm wrong. So I delete it. And then they come back within a day or even within a few hours and say, oh, did you delete my comment? I'm like, I did not delete your comment because you left me speechless. I deleted your comment because it is embarrassing for me to have little boys fight on the comment section saying, bro, I will not pay for a bill. Like, if these guys express their opinion in a way where they really want to know what I think and they're speaking with curiosity and trying to understand, and then you still don't change your mind, that's a completely different question. But if you're coming here and saying women are gold diggers when you have no gold, it's very, very embarrassing for me and for you. I just delete the comments straight away. So when I share these opinions, there are also other women who then come and call me regressive and tell me to make my own money and all of that stuff. I kind of get where you're coming from because I used to have the same mindset about it. I used to fight with my friends if they said, you know what, a guy has to pay on the first date. And I used to be like, why? Why should a guy pay on the first date? And I used to question it a lot. And it was also because at that time I was in a relationship where this guy used to do nothing for me. So I think for me, I was a bit embarrassed to agree to that point because then it would mean that my boyfriend at that time was lacking and I didn't want to do that. So when I see so many women fighting on my comment section and also telling me these things, I don't want to respond to it because I sort of know what stage you're in and why you think this way. But when you grow up and then you get literally fucked over by these low effort men that bring nothing to the table, you will look back and realize that there was absolutely no reward to having your standards so low. Honestly, guys know that you're equal. Guys know that you're a catch, and in a way they want to access you without any real investment from their side. So yes, in a fair world, we of course have to be equal and we have to treat each other with respect. But in the current modern dating world, a lot of guys bring nothing to the table and you have to put a price to it. You really, really do. And if you don't, they will entertain multiple people at the same time because nobody is asking them. This I'm saying completely out of experience. Speaking of social media, it's honestly been so fun, kind of like blowing up. I used to have 6,000 followers, 6,500 followers before my video started taking off. Now I think I'm at 24,000 over a course of 3 weeks. So when you really put time and effort into your social media and when you don't care about what people really have to say and you strongly believe in your opinion, post it. I used to be so freaking insecure of how much I talk because this is something that a lot of people make fun of me for. So I used to do a lot of rants on my stories. So my stories used to be maybe like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and a lot of people would respond and tell me, I love your story time, I love how you're so authentic, I can listen to you forever. But then I would sometimes walk into like, not necessarily my office, but I would walk into some place and someone that I do not know or I'm not very close to might say, oh my god, I skip your stories. And then I get so embarrassed because I'm like, okay, I know I talk, and if you don't like it, just unfollow me. I don't take it to heart, I don't get offended by it, but these people don't unfollow. So yeah, anyway, what I was saying was, so I used to do these rants before and people used to get annoyed. Then I started posting it on my reel just because I thought, you know what, like if people are sick and tired of tapping through my stories, then maybe I just post a reel about it so that they can scroll. To my surprise, the first reel that I posted talking like that is now at 1.3 million views, and that is the video that got me, I think, 15,000 or 12,000 followers. You never know what will click with people, and that is genuinely what I've learned. What I thought was always too much or too annoying is what people now come to my page for and want to listen to me talk. So that's been interesting because I've always been embarrassed about it, and I'm now learning to kind of capitalize on that. Okay. For my powder, I'm going to be using the Fenty Beauty Translucent Powder. So I'm going to use this powder and I just rub it on my hand just to make it more even. And then I'm going to go under my eye. You can already see that it fills up my under eye a bit. Notice there's already a slight difference. For me, my mindset with content is there are thousands of videos being uploaded every second or every minute, and your videos will get drowned. So if I post one video in a month, I cannot expect that to be the one to change my life, but I post every single day and hoping that something might pick up. You have to post consistently because it gets you comfortable with being in front of the camera. It gets you comfortable with speaking, with putting yourself out there, with editing, shooting, producing these video content, because that is a whole skill set which comes with practice. For mascara, I swear this is it. It is the Huda Beauty Legit Lashes. The next thing I want to talk talk about is singlehood. I'd also posted a video on this as well, and I spoke about how the guy that I want to meet a man who is perfect for me and who is willing to wait for me for 2 years if that's what it takes to be with me. And that is another topic which I got a lot of negative feedback on by a few people, not necessarily women, a lot of women, but of course, once again, being supportive of what I had to say. But then there's always a few women or a few men that will comment on the way that I look and say, oh, you expect a man to wait for you looking like that? And I'm just like, I actually don't look bad, but that's not even the main point. But my point is that if a guy does not think I am worth those things, then he is simply not the one. And I don't mean this in a way of being petty, of like, oh, you don't like me? Well, I'm better than you. I don't see it that way. Of course, not every single man in this world is going to see my worth, and that is completely okay. There are women who are much better than me, smarter than me, kinder than me, more loving than me. Of course, there are women like that. And if you want to go for someone else, that's completely fair, and you're allowed to do that. And I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to feel any other way. And whenever I say this, I also get comments of like, you're so unrealistic. And you know what? If I'm unrealistic, so be it. This is one person that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. I'm going to have kids with. I'm going to have maybe someday a big house with. If I'm being very selective about his looks, the way he behaves, the way he treats my friends, the way he treats my family, amount of time and energy he's investing in me, if I'm being very picky about it and you're going to call me entitled or unrealistic, that's completely fine. But stop telling me that it's unrealistic. For bronzer, I'm using the Shea Up bronzer. This is one of my favorite freaking highlighter. It's the Iconic Illuminator. Holy shit, I put quite a lot. Anyway, speaking of singlehood, I also got a message on TikTok recently asking how I'm so comfortable being single because like she's so lonely and she just wants someone to take care of her and all of that. And if I'm being very honest, I'm the wrong person to ask this question because my comfort with being single comes from the fact that I have never been in a really healthy, loving relationship. Had I been in a very good relationship with someone who I love and respect, then of course being single might not be that good for me. I would be struggling with it because I would have probably been used to the fact that I've had someone all along and now I've lost them. Luckily for me, I've not experienced that. So being single to me comes with all the perks. You know, I wake up and I don't have to think about anyone. If I ever get a wonderful opportunity, I don't have to think about leaving someone behind. Like I'm literally living such a selfish life. It is that amount of freedom and peace that I have in my life, which is just so unmatched. I do believe that I am lucky to have gone through such traumatic experiences because I've now done all the charity work. So I've learned it the hard way and finally I can now just rest and just focus on myself and focus on my career and be really selfish. Having my trust broken was kind of like the assurance that I needed that I can actually put my foot down and say, nope, get off my life. You know, all I can say is if you feel lonely, just know that it's a very normal part of being single, especially when so many people around our age are getting married and are getting, you know, into very good, healthy relationships. All of us do want that as well. Some of us do want that. In a few years, you will get married. All of us will maybe get married and will maybe have kids. And at that time, we will look back at this age where all we had to think about was, do I look good today? Do I look nice? We can think about such small topics. We don't have to be thinking about kids. We don't have to be thinking about families, husbands, in-laws, if our partners are healthy, if they are happy, if they love us. Like I wake up with the clearest mind ever. For my lipstick, this is the lipstick that everyone has been asking me about and it's the one that I rave about. It is a Ciela Beauty lipstick in collaboration with Mariam Hussain. It is one of the most comfortable matte lipsticks ever. Once you get married and once you meet someone, then a lot of your life is going to revolve around another person. And you know, when you're ready for that, you will find someone, I guess. I'm kind of done with the video. I now have a friend who's gonna come home. So I'm gonna wrap this up really soon. But I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you enjoyed this little get ready with me. Follow me on my Instagram and tell me if you enjoyed this video. Tell me what you want to see more of and give me any honest feedback about my videos, what I say, what I think, how I think. And I would love to have a conversation with you guys. Thank you. Bye.